Good morning, guys, and welcome to another session with me, Ross-rfx. This morning we are showing you a position that we are currently in on GJ. We have just entered this position after we took the SP high. We have our stop loss under the low. We're now looking for this to run through the highs. As always, if it runs against us, so be it. We use the according risk as per every trade. And if it goes in our favor, we'll walk you through the management of this trade as we go. So as we approach our BE area, which we have literally just hit, we're now going to move our stops to break even, allowing enough room to fill your commissions, if you have any commissions to fill, that is. And we're now looking for our next target high, which is going to bring us into the area above. So it's going to be this high right here, which we're going to start taking partials off. You can take partials down here if you like. Ultimately, we have an area of supply here as well, which could push price down. Securing here might be an idea if you want to partial out. It's completely up to you. It depends on what your RR is. The RR for me is 7.7 here, so we have enough to be able to partial out and still get a reasonable RR with our trade. But for now, we're just going to secure our position, allowing enough room for commissions, as we said earlier. So our stop loss now is just under here, allowing for room for price to move. If we run off this area of supply, it could push us back down into lower prices, but mainly we've studied what we're looking at and we know that we're secure now, so we have nothing to lose. All the risk is off the table, position is completely mitigated, and the main element here is just to let price play out and continue on its journey to the upside. If it doesn't want to do so, then that is simply the way it goes. No one has 100% hit rate all of the time. As you've seen through all of the other scenarios, these generally play out in a pretty consistent way. Reaction at each liquid high, reaction at areas of supply and demand as you'd expect, but overall, because we've confirmed higher time frame bias with a bullish swing range, no POI in here but a ton of liquid down here, we took an SP. If you look on the 1 minute here, we took an SP, created a window, we've pushed up, back in, structurally changed our direction. We now follow price to the upside, bringing us through these highs, ultimately aiming for this high and the swing high, pretty similar to the U-Chef video we dropped yesterday. So our position now, guys, is completely risk-free. I'll show you that right now. Completely risk-free. Stop above the buy position there, and price now just has one job, which is to get to our next point where we want to look for partials. So we're just going to leave this running as we always do, and I'll catch you back whether we get BE'd or we hit our first partial taking. Okay, so just a little comment from myself here. One of the things that makes me believe that this may not potentially run as far as we think is the fact that we are consistently mitigating each point of demand on the way up. We've left no open areas of imbalance. Generally, price should be delivering more of a imbalanced market movement to the upside. If it is truly the impulsive direction we're going to see an expansion in. This is a low risk trade overall. We are within a bullish range. We are at the base of the bullish range. There is no POI within the bullish range, which gives it slightly less probability to play out. But ultimately, structure and liquidity are going to lead you in to your entries, with the ranges giving you direction. Remember, you don't have to have a super valid directional range to be correct in direction. Remember, if you're trying to trade the range itself, so the swing high to swing low, then you would want that to be valid. If you're only looking for it to give you a bias, then you follow structural narratives within that range to then trade price higher or lower, depending on what your bias is. But apart from the fact that we're mitigating almost every point of demand, everything else ticks boxes in this trade, so we're just going to let it run. I believe that if we do come down below, so right here, below this point, this to me is going to be the point where we start running out these lows, which is going to incur us to take a BE. If that is the case, then so be it. Now, as always, these videos are recorded to show you the scenarios play out. Now, whether they go to stop loss, TP, partials, whatever it may be, we're here to show you the real side of trading. And this is why these videos aren't being uploaded every single day. And if we do incur a loss, we will post that as well. And we will talk about the mental side and the way that price will behave differently. And it's not always going to work. So please do keep that in mind. I'll leave you guys to watch this right now, and I'll be right back with you to cover what happens next. So remembering, guys, if you do prefer to partial out sooner rather than later, then you can do so. This trade is running around 1 to 1.2, 1 to 1.3 at the moment. When we hit this next point here, or if we hit this next point here, we are going to look to partial out personally. Whether you want to partial out beforehand, it's completely up to you. The main thing is the lower down you partial, the smaller your RR gets at the end of your overall trade. So just always keep that in mind. Beautiful stuff. We just hit our first partial area right there. We're going to look to mitigate some of our position now. So I'm going to close out a small amount. And this partial is purely to pay yourself. It's more of a case of getting some liquidity under your belt, so you know that from this point, if it goes against you, you've still secured something for the day, even if it is a minor amount. So next target for this, guys, this high right here being the next partials, that's going to give you around 4R, I believe. Let's double check, it might be less. 3.2R. So 3.2R is our next partial point, and then from here we're going to look to bring it up towards these highs. And of course, as I said earlier, you can partial out as you please. This is just the way that I personally choose to partial. Overall, partial it as you see fit. These videos, whether you're watching them live in the Discord with everybody that's here, if you want to be a part of that, make sure that you click on the link below. Or if you're watching them on rewind on YouTube, where I know a lot of people do view it as well, take it as a template. Use it as a template, and then preferably act accordingly depending on how you are as a trader. Some people like to be in and out within the move that's just happened. Some people like to trade across longer periods of time. Some people don't even like to partial. Some people like to partial heavily. So make it suit you. Trading's a personal thing, remember? I've said it before. You're always going to get people that will tell you all the time you have to do this or you have to do that. Make it suit you. Take things that work, combine them together, and make it suit you. Your personal preference to whatever it is that you're doing, whether it's scalping, swing trading, support resistance, supply and demand, you name it, whatever it may be, make it work for you. If you go out and see someone wearing an outfit you like, you don't go and buy that outfit in their size because they were wearing it. You buy it for your size to fit you. Do the same thing with trading techniques and trading plans. Tailor them to you. So notice what's happening at this high. We're having price drop down a little bit because it's taken the liquidity off the high. We now have this area of supply above and then this point of supply as well. If we push back down, at this point here where we have these highs, that is going to be the lowest point I'd like to see price to come to. Realistically, I'd like to see this gap left open. If it does come down and mitigate it, we've partialed already. If it comes down, takes out our stop, so be it. I'm looking for an expansion through to this high here. So due to this range and the way it's delivered, we did put out a message this morning to the VIPs saying that this range itself is overall technically invalid in terms of swing structural moves come. So this red area is an area you could potentially see price selling away from. Now, based off of that, we have just come into this area, but we're still expecting price to expand higher. You can see on the 5 minute that area of supply that we're playing off right now. If it does decide to drop down, like I say earlier, so be it. This area of supply could push us down a little bit lower, like I stated, but I'm still expecting an expansion through to the highs. Okay guys, so we have spent a little bit of time consolidating after we contacted this high. We've had price displays a relatively good range, impulsiveness. We have an order block right here that's been mitigated once, twice, 3 times now. Ultimately, if we create a new low, so if we come lower than this low here, then I would say that this is more than likely going to run down through our lows and we're going to be taken out with our initial partial. Now, if that is the case, we're going to let it run. Remember, this is all about systematically working your way through the market, not trading it based off of how you feel or what you think looks good. Yes, this price action doesn't look great, but we're still within an order block here. My personal opinion is that from this point now, we're probably going to continue down lower. So we'll see what happens. I'm going to continue recording this here, and if we go down to BE with a partial, then it will be a partial video. If we go up to TP or we hit our next partial, then we'll continue to record it and we will tell you guys exactly what we think is going to happen. So just keep in mind where we're at, and ultimately what I've just said, I believe this is probably going to run down now through the lows. If we take this high here, then we come back into the buy side. Now, of course, we've pretty much said that we don't expect this to run to our targets now. We're still in the trade. We're still holding our position that we had earlier with the break even at the point it was at to cover our commissions and so on. If we do get an expansion through these highs, taking that SP there, then brilliant. But ultimately, our bias still stands. We traded it from the point that we wanted to trade it from. We now just need price to play ball and continue to run through to our target. You can see that we're breaking down a little bit. We had a nice push higher initially. We've then had heavy consolidation. We're still playing within the parameters at the moment. When we broke this low right here, I said ultimately I'd expect this to not reach our targets. Since then we came through an SP, reached back into the highs. We've now dropped back down into the area of demand that was responsible for this. So this essentially, as far as I'm concerned, is the last point that we could possibly push through these highs. And ultimately, we are going to take one partial trade into a protected position stop. So overall, still a win. It's just a case of understanding that every time you get into a trade, the market isn't just going to hand out dollars. That's not how it works. It's always going to be either you're going to get to your target if you see the right principles and elements within the price, and sometimes you're not going to get to your targets. That's just how it is. Accept it for what it is, follow your systematic rule set, and take what the market is willing to give you. If it's only going to give you partials, so be it. If you get out, let's say you place your stop a little bit higher and you trade to here and you're done, great. If that's the way you want to negotiate around it, fair play. You do what you want to do. Remember, as I said earlier, trading is a completely personal thing. And whether you learn from one person or another person or multiple people, the main thing is that you accumulate information that works and has been tested, and you adapt it to suit your personal preference. Each person is going to have a different preference on taking partials, trading as a whole, how long they want to stay in a trade, how much they're going to risk. So don't let one person tell you and dictate to you what you should and shouldn't be doing. It's a completely subjective topic, getting in and out of trades. There are obviously ways that you maybe shouldn't do it, like if you're buying, for example, in a very clear downtrend. That's just basic trading 101, right? So guys, what I am going to do right here is I am going to now chop this recording. You've seen it go to partials, and we will talk to you after price plays out a little bit more. I don't want to lengthen this video out too much because I know that it's not exactly interesting watching price action. We'll just let this run now. And if we do come down to our BE, we will obviously come back and explain that to you. And if we don't, then we'll explain the latter. So catch you guys very soon. Okay guys, so we are back. As we said earlier, if we got taken out at BE with one partial, then that is how it goes sometimes. Not every trade you get into is going to run the full distance. We actually had CAD news, which has influenced British pound to the Japanese yen. And it's pushed price down, liquidated our swing low, and now it's pushing back high again. Now this has actually given us an A entry model. Now if you know what the A entry model is, then you'd be able to straight away notice this. If you don't know what it is, then go and watch the entry models A and B for swing ranges. We'll put the link in the description down below. But overall guys, I hope you've enjoyed the walkthrough today. We'd like to keep them relatively simple. Remember, every single system and all the stuff that we've shown you today, we have taught live on this channel. So if you do want to go and check out those videos and learn this system for yourself, then you can do that via our YouTube channel. And of course, I will catch you guys in the next one. Have an amazing weekend, guys. Peace out.